You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. You know, as entrepreneurs, we're always pursuing and in pursuit of the next opportunity. We've got so many ideas in our head, and I think we don't take enough time to stop and be grateful, to express gratitude. I love these gratitude journals and these exercises that get us to stop and be mindful of what we've already accomplished, what we already have. When you're a visionary leader, you're always looking way out into the future and you're seeing things that don't exist. And when you're out there living in the future, sometimes you forget to enjoy the successes of the past and to be present and mindful of what you've already received. So this is not some kind of a woo-woo thing. This is actually a very powerful mindset that our guest today is going to help to make sense out of this idea of gratitude, not the woo-woo positivity side, but how giving gratitude to obstacles you've overcome can help develop resilience and actually rewire your brain. Very fascinating. So I'm speaking with Chris Schembra. He is the founder of the 747 Gratitude Experience, an evidence-based framework used to strengthen client and team relationships in profound ways. He is also the producer at OHenry Productions, and he invests in and produces commercial theater. He has been involved with some projects that have been awarded 14 Tony Awards, 7 Emmys, and a Grammy Award. So very accomplished. Chris Schembra, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Oh, Ralph, what an honor to be here with you, and thanks for that amazing introduction. You know, it's so cool to hear people, kind of take a stand and say gratitude, which has been, around for a heck of a long time. Most people just think of it as that like woo-woo spirituality, positivity thing. So to hear it in a new light, I love it. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, you have you've done quite a bit. We were talking off air about all the things, the projects that you have going on now. If anyone can have a string of successes to look back on and be grateful for and speak from a place of authority about gratitude, I certainly think you can. Tell us more about who you are and what you do and what is the 747 Gratitude Experience.
What a great question, Ralph. Can I answer that question by asking you a question to your listeners on air?
Sure.
Yes. Well, Ralph, our story goes back to about July of 2015. I was lonely, unfulfilled, disconnected, insecure. I was traveling around the world producing Broadway plays, and God, life sure looked pretty good on paper. But one day I realized it did not translate to feeling good in the heart. See, I'd just come back from Italy after producing a Broadway play over there, and God, Italy changed my life. Was it how they walked, how they talked, how they loved, how they learned? I mean, I was completely enthralled. And when I got back to New York City, I realized this ain't it. Oh my gosh, golly. I felt lonely, unfulfilled, disconnected, insecure. I'm sure a lot of your listeners today feel that way. And that wasn't a good look for me, because the last time I'd felt those four things at once was in my early 20s, led me down a deep, dark path of suicide, depression, rehab. I had to go away for a really long time. So I thought, what was it about Italy that changed my life? Well, it's how they ate. And specifically, it's how they ate amongst community. And so back home in my kitchen here in New York City, I started playing around with different recipes. accidentally created a pasta sauce recipe that I figured I should probably feed to people to see if it was good or not good. Sounds simple, right? So one day a ritual began. Night after night, week after week, month after month, we just started gathering people, whether it was 20 people in our home or thousands of people out on the road. We got really good at gathering people. You'd work together to create the meal, you'd serve each other, you'd have some meaningful conversations, and I saw the people come alive. Well, we've used those principles to spark over 500,000 relationships around the dinner table in the last 6 years, serving Fortune 50 CEOs, Academy Award winners, Super Bowl champions, Hall of Fame athletes, and more. And one day I realized that these thingies, these experiences, there was something to them. But why did the people keep coming back? Well, they weren't coming back for the pasta sauce. They were coming back for the simple question we asked at every experience, whether it was in person or virtual. And that's what I'd like to ask you right here, right now to your listeners, Ralph. Ralph, same question I devote my entire life to. Same question everything from Bill Gates to Michael Dell to 4-year-old kids on Skid Row have answered. Ralph, if you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, that you've never thought to thank, now what are you grateful for? Who have you never thought to thank? Take your time.
That's a difficult question because I pretty much come from a place of gratitude, and I'm somebody who will write thank you cards, handwritten thank you cards on a daily basis. So my first reaction is I can't think of anyone, but I'm sure if I sit here and I think long enough, there's probably people that I have overlooked, that I have failed to properly thank. And,
People that you've overlooked.
Yeah, I would think possibly. I think of a college professor who was very, had quite a bit of influence and spoke some positive things into my education that put me on a good path, put me in a good place. And I'm not sure that I express that much gratitude beyond just the okay, thanks, and thanks for the grade and thanks for my degree. But actually expressing gratitude on the level that we're talking about, maybe that's someone that I have overlooked.
If he was here today, what would you say to him?
Thank you for taking the time, for recognizing what drives me, what makes me passionate, and for acknowledging that, and for treating me as a peer and not as a graduate student.
Treating you like a peer, taking the time, investing in you. Those are some powerful, powerful things. Now, Ralph, suppose he wasn't here with us, or suppose you didn't know how to reach him. How would you go about paying that benefit forward, or keeping his legacy alive?
Well, I would probably strive to do for my students and my clients and my colleagues the same thing that he did for me, to acknowledge me, treat me as a peer, not as a subordinate or someone who is inferior. And I would encourage people to pursue the things that they are passionate about and help them to develop their ideas and their their skills and their gifts.
Sounds like you really care about people, Ralph.
Yeah, deep down I do. Sometimes people can be very annoying. Sometimes I can be very annoying to other people. But yeah, I think deep down, sure, I've always seen myself as a helper, someone called alongside to help. And that really drives my business philosophy, my coaching and client care. And yeah, I'd say that's a big part of my life.
Sounds like it's an honor to work alongside you, Ralph. You make a lot of people proud. What's your college professor's name?
Dr. Carey.
Dr. Carey. Well, cheers to that. And I thank you for that, Ralph. How did that feel?
That felt good.
I could hear a lot of pride when you realized that the way he mentored and took his time and believed in you and saw you as his peer. And then when I asked how you carry that forward, you talked about how you're there for others in that same way. And that's what gratitude is. Gratitude, it's not some social obligation, some reciprocity, some thing you do out of indebtedness. It's something you have to authentically feel. And we believe that it's best felt when you root your gratitude in something specific and measurable in your past, and then you connect the dots looking backwards. Because what you just did is you brought forth some positive autobiographical experience from your past. You taught us about that, but then you carried it forward. And you developed a little bit of hope and pride and optimism, self-confidence, self-efficacy in stating the ways you carry on those values. That's what gratitude is to us. And oh, by the way, you could add a different answer. You could have said, Chris, I'd like to thank that one person who hurt me, who made me feel left out, who made me feel less than. They were really, really bad people that one time. And I'd ask you to talk about that experience. And just you talking about that negative, open, unprocessed, autobiographical memory from your past would actually destigmatize the negative emotion. Science shows that when you talk out or write down these unprocessed experiences, you destigmatize it. And then it broadens and builds your thought action repertoire needed for all those hope, pride, optimism, self-confidence, self-efficacy. So gratitude, to me, is awesome when you relive a positive emotion. You felt how good that feels, but it won't rewire your brain. The rewiring of the brain occurs when you can gratefully process traumatic moments from your past. Because here's the truth. The past happened. Trauma doesn't come from the actual event itself. Trauma, fear, anger, shame, guilt, resentment, whatever. It comes from your response to that experience. And so by giving gratitude to the ways that you overcame adversity, it develops resilience. It develops pride. And by the way, people don't like to connect with other people who pretend like their life's perfect. That's bullcrap. They want to connect through your vulnerabilities. They want to know that you went through the same shit they went through, and you can have an open, honest conversation about life. And the world needs a lot more people that want to do that. We've all got the stories. We've all got at least one or two people we can practice this with. We just need people to lean in. And that's what we're up to here at 747.
That's really interesting. That whole philosophy and we were deep in. We were in the deep end of the pool already. And
I wouldn't have it any other way. When I know I'm talking to someone who cares, this much about people as you do, we got to dive in.
Now tell me about 747, the name 747 Gratitude Experience, because to not see this in print and for listeners just to hear it, it sounds like a airplane, but that's not the intention here, is it?
It's not, although we had a nice big fight with the airplane at the federal level applying for our patents, but that's our copyright trademark. Sorry. Michael Cerati would be like, dude, get your shit together. Our legal counsel. At our very first dinner, when I was just a bowl of pasta sauce and a nobody who had just come back from Italy, I invited some people over for food. 6:30 p.m. sharp arrivals. Don't you dare be late. I wanted dinner served at 8. And because I was a lazy fella, I invited people into the kitchen and delegated 11 specific tasks to empower the attendees to work together to create the meal. That was at 7:47 because it takes 13 minutes to cook that original pasta al dente. And so it just became this moment that, well, born out of laziness. But then what we found is that when you create the opportunities for shared activities, a shared purpose, serving each other, it decreases the ego, it creates humility and servant leadership amongst a small group format. Right? It's humans are built on what's called coalitionary psychology. We are built for small group formats. Right? We grew up in tribes. We roamed the plains. You had to learn how to connect or you were cast aside and you died.
Yeah, Survivor, isn't it? It's
Survivor.
Yeah, you got to play the social game or you get voted out of the tribe.
and so somehow we developed into an individualistic society that breeds competition rather than collaboration. And we're always putting our fancy filters on our Instagram photos, and we're trying to take the fanciest photos of the coolest food in the city that we're visiting. And I call bullcrap to all that. So we created this little experience where people could come and be authentically themselves and strip away that ego and that barrier to entry and whatever was preventing you from getting vulnerable. And so those became our dinners. In the first year, they were every week, once a week for free in our home. We fed a lot of people in a small studio apartment on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in those early days. But then one day the phone started ringing. And companies started calling and they said, Chris, God, you're really good at making these people cry. I said, yes. They said, we got a bunch of employees. I think they need to cry. Got a bunch of clients. I think they need to cry, right? When you bring that emotion into a B2B transaction, you increase upsell, cross-sell revenue, referrals. When you can bring empathy and belonging into the workplace, you win. You retain your top talent, you maximize productivity, you make them want to stay involved. People don't stay at companies because they believe in the mission, the vision, the values, they're connected to the purpose. They say that, but that's not actually true. They stay because they genuinely feel a sense of belonging. They leave if they don't. And so companies started saying, hey, why don't you help us out with this? And so we turned it into a company. And so whether we were producing small experiences or big experiences, year-long campaigns or one-off kind of things, we just fell into it. And luckily we've had the great honor of working with the world's biggest companies. Our clients are Microsoft, Google, Dell, IBM, Citibank, Ferrari, the United States Navy, Harvard, you name it. They are our client. And they're all saying the same thing. Same shit you and I talked about 10 minutes ago. Their people are lonely, unfulfilled, disconnected, insecure. How do we solve that? The same simple solutions I solved for myself July 15, 2015. That's it. That's all we do. So the thought leadership is around gratitude. it's our observation that gratitude has been practiced wrong for like thousands of years. And so we have our simple 6-step solution called the 6 pillars of gratitude, that pose something a little different. But that's for another chat.
How has the world changed with the pandemic, with companies becoming more virtual, employees, clients feeling more isolated, more disconnected?
A couple of years ago, the Surgeon General of the United States put out a statistic that showed that 52% of the American workforce reports being lonely on a consistent basis. It's equivalent to the reduction of lifespan of smoking 15 cigarettes a day, 7 years off your life. And the pandemic has made that even worse. We have a great threat to our civilization ahead of us. And I hope people wake up before it's too late, because we need to do a whole lot more connecting and a whole lot less, boasting and bragging. And if we can do that, there is hope for us in our future.
Powerful words of wisdom from Chris Schembra. The website is 747club.org. Create more meaningful connection through the gratitude experience. And I think you have demonstrated that, Chris, with your shall I say, interview technique. I feel like that you have been the host today, and I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the time that we've had together. Hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it next year when the book's coming out, and we'll get some members to call in and ask them some questions.
Perfect. Thanks for being on the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Ralph.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur. Download the show notes and much more at Rebelpreneur.
And that's a wrap.
Man, that was fun.
Yeah, what's fun? Yeah, that's different from what I'm used to doing, but I think it worked.
Your listeners are going to. I hope your listeners. Yeah, I hope it helped them get to know you that much better.
Yeah.
You're a guy who's got so many good things inside him, and just honored to start our relationship here today.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time. And I got your message. You have to hop in too. I assume that came from you. I just saw it pop up.
Yeah, that came from me. I need to hop right now, but right. I would love to just connect over the next few months and just get to know you and get to know just so much more about what you're up to.
Well, when we have a link to the episode, I'll send that to you, and we'll keep in touch by email as that goes
Perfect.
out. Okay.
All right, Ralph. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Chris. Take care.
Bye, Ralph.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.